So, good evening. My name is Melissa, and I'm so happy to be here with you this evening. Melissa could not be here tonight and asked me to fill in, which I was very happy to do. I love being here with you. So, my name is James, and I'm a teacher here at Inside LA, and I'm also a member of the board. And welcome to Community Dharma Night. So, order of business tonight, if you will be we're going to sit, we're going to practice, do what we do, don't we do best, and what's best for us. And then afterwards, we'll have a break. And so you can have some refreshments. And then just after the break, then we'll come back in, we'll do some introductions because we are a community. And then I'm going to talk for a little bit about an interesting concept out of a, a sutta that's about um, polishing, polishing your presence in the world. So, inviting you in this moment to find your body in the space that you're in. It might be this room, it might be where you're at home, those of you who are online with us. Just finding your body within that space, within that room, locating it. Seeing if there's anything that you need to do to adjust how you're sitting so that the body is relaxed and comfortable. If you're sitting up, the idea is to be upright but not uptight. Meditation is about being relaxed. It isn't necessary to stress out over how you're sitting. And along with that, inviting your body with a sense of gentleness to be ready, making a gentle contact with the body. You might not have even remembered during the day today that you had a body. You might have been lost on your phone or on your computer, locked in your head. And now's a good moment to reintroduce yourself to the body. And if you like to sit with your eyes closed, then inviting you to do so now. If you like to sit with your eyes open, that works equally well. Perhaps just a gentle gaze downward, unfocused. And we'll sit for about 30 minutes. And in order to help us reconnect with the body, inviting you to bring awareness to the body, to find places in the body where there's a sense of form, of solidness, like bone or fingernails, but also where there's muscle and firmness, muscles, tendons, and just noticing various places in the body where those things are. This is the earth as it exists in your body, in this body you carry. And then turning awareness toward water, water that exists in the body just like it does on the planet. Water that fuels the body, keeps the body supple. This water allows the body to function without hardening up. It is truly the water of life. And bringing awareness to places in the body where there's warmth, where there's temperature, hot and cool, the process of digestion that converts energy from one form to another, fuels your nervous system and your passion. This is fire in the body, this element of earth. And then bringing awareness to wind and air in the body. This element of air, this most fleeting of the elements, this most crucial one, allowing movement in the body, oxygen coming in, reaching out to every cell in the body, nurturing you and feeding you. This is the air of the earth in your body. Earth, water, fire, and air, the elements of the earth, and carried in this body. You are the earth, and the earth is you. And this relationship to the earth is the first element of mindfulness. And inviting you to find the breath. Perhaps for you, it's the nose or the throat, the lungs, the tummy. Perhaps for you, breathing is a whole body experience. Where is it most clearly accessible for you? And inviting a gentle awareness to rest on that place. And you're also welcome to use sound or sensation if you wish, allowing yourself to choose to be your own best teacher. Bringing a gentle awareness to the breath or other anchor. So gentle that it's like fog resting on a hillside. The sense of being with, of knowing, but not needing to change anything. Allowing your awareness to rest on this anchor, this home base. And perhaps your mind has already moved from the anchor and is now involved in thinking stories, different experiences. And that's just the mind doing what it does best. It's looking for problems to solve and things to do. And if you'd like, just give that a smile because it's just doing its job. And then gently and kindly inviting awareness to return to your anchor, inviting your awareness to come home. And again, the mind might have moved off from your anchor, be thinking about something, be building a story, building some sort of idea. And that's all really natural and normal. The minute you realize what's happening, that's a moment of true mindfulness. And that's the opportunity to return once again to the breath, to sound, to sensation, to come home. Giving yourself permission to be here in this moment without needing to pull anything closer to you or push anything further away. To be present at all with all it is and to sit right here in the midst of it all, fully aware, fully present. And in this final part, inviting you to begin again. Whatever has passed so far has passed. And in this moment, to reconnect with the anchor, to start anew, mindful, present, aware. And in just a moment, you'll hear the sound of the bell, inviting you to prepare to open your eyes and be in community with these people who are gathered here mindfully to be present with each other. Thank you for your practice. Yeah, stretching would feel good right now, huh? If you know a cat, follow their lead. They know how to do this. So just, yeah, always feels good after a sit. And it continues the idea of paying attention to the body. So very important for us. So, so tonight, I have a story for you. So I recently was out of town. I was in Texas on a business trip. And I knew that would be an interesting thing because I know that everybody in Texas doesn't necessarily think the same way that I do or have the same opinions that I do about, I probably a lot of things. But it was a conference for work. And so I went and I was there. And it's an organization that I'm also on the board of directors of, and it's a mental health group. And some of my fellow board members decided it would be a really great idea to go to a comedy club, which I was hesitant about, but they talked me into it. So, so I thought, well, okay, yeah. In LA, probably I wouldn't have been as hesitant, but there I was just wasn't sure. So we went, and the first couple of people who came on were okay. The jokes were, they were pretty funny. They weren't really um, saying things that I found troublesome. Uh, but then somebody else came on, and I'm not going to mention names because this is actually somebody that is known. Um, and things got rough. Things got rough. There were jokes about suicide. There were jokes about murdering gay people. There were jokes about, oh, I think the list is pretty long, actually. And so, and we're sort of, it's a comedy club, so you're sort of locked in essence. Your cell phones are in these little packages so that you can't get to them, so that you won't record anything, and you're sort of tight in there. And quickly, when that person was finished, they moved somebody else on who's also well known, and things went downhill and got worse. So then, when that was done, um, I got up and walked out. There were still quite a few people to go, but I just walked out and I didn't even bother to say anything to the people I was with. I just left. And and of course, they didn't have access to their phones, so I couldn't communicate with them. Um, and, but I had decided that I'd had enough and knew that there was a risk in standing up and walking out that I would suddenly become part of the show, which didn't happen, fortunately. But there was a point there where for me, there was a choice to make. And there's a lot of that these days in many different ways for many different people. And it touches on this idea of um, who are we and how are we in this world? And in this current environment, how do we maintain a connection with the essence of who we are? And I truly believe, honestly, that the essence of everyone is kindness. And then when everything else is truly gone, kindness is what remains. And that what happens is we forget and we move away from that. Things pull us away from that. And there's so many things that can pull us away from that these days. Um, and yet, I really find comfort in practice because practice allows me to come home. It allows me to come back to this idea of finding that place inside of me where there is peacefulness and calm, even if there's lots of noise inside. There's still that place in there. And that place is a place where kindness exists. So I was thinking tonight about what to talk about with this and everything that's going on. And there's this sutta, uh, and it's a fascinating one. I'm not going to read the whole thing, don't worry. We'll just talk about part of it. And it's called the Salika Sutta. And Salika roughly translates, depending on where you look, as effacement. Who has any clue what effacement means? Do you have any English majors in the room? Okay. Okay. It basically, the rough translation of it is erasure. So it's getting rid of things. It's a sutta about getting rid of things. Right. So actually, though, I did some research on this and I found a different way of translating it. And the way I found it was it's about polishing something down or polishing something out, like polishing out a dent or polishing out a scar or a scratch, like you might on your car on a piece of silver. And I liked that. That made more sense to me. That made more sense to me. So I offer it to you as a different way of thinking about this idea. Um, And the basic idea with this is that there are things that we can work on and polish ourselves and work on the scratches and the dents that occur as we go through life, because there's lots of opportunities to get scratched and dented. And right now, there's a lot of, life like right now is a lot like being in a bumper car ride. you know, every time you turn on the news, every time maybe with friends and family, I know a lot of people are really hesitant to be around family for dinners and things at this point because there's different points of view. But points of view really is the essence of part of this and how we hold our points of view and how we hold our opinions and how strongly we hold them. And so part of what we're polishing is exactly that, how hard we hold on to things. Because it's just as possible to cling on to an opinion or an idea as it is to cling on to a possession. And sometimes we don't think about that. It's easy to think about clinging on to possessions, and when we hear about clinging, when we hear Dharma talk, that's, I think, what most people's minds go to, right? Is you want your things, right? Part of those things are ideas and opinions, and there's ways to work with those. Um, there's a really wonderful part of this sutta that talks about the way leading upwards. And I really like that. It really resonated with me because it's about how to lift yourself up. And it's about how to make choices around that. And I'll read you some of the things in here briefly. There's a long list, about 40 things. It's a big list of things to work on. But um, and the person who asked the Buddha is a practitioner named Kunda. So Kunda, just as all unwholesome states leads downwards, all wholesome states, you can say skillful if wholesome doesn't resonate with you, lead upwards. So too, a person given to cruelty has non-cruelty in their hearts to lead them upward. A person giving to killing living beings has abstination from killing living beings to lead them upwards. And then the list goes on. And then the last one is one given to adhere to his own views, who holds them tenaciously and relinquishes them with difficulty, has not adherence to his own views and not holding on to them tenaciously and relinquishing them easily. And this moves them upwards. So, in this long list of things that to work on, which are all good things for everybody to work on, it's just a lot all at once to think about. It's good stuff, but it's all at once. It's a lot. Is this idea of opinions and holding things and how we do that. So, it's good in a lot of ways and in a lot of settings because this is where things get like sandpaper between people. It can happen. It's certainly happening in the national debate. It's happening more locally. And it happens in sanghas too, because we're people. And when people come together, they have different ideas and different views and different experiences. So, one of the wonderful things about being in a community, in a sangha, is that we get to see these things and we get to hold them within within the Dharma, within the truth, within these practices. And this is one of these practices. It's asking us, calling on us to be able to lift ourselves up by being able to look at these opinions and ideas that we hold. Well, there's something about that that feels really freeing to me, and maybe to you too. Because in my experience, even in this day and age where many opinions are held very strongly, when I start to be able to loosen up my grasp on an opinion or an idea on a situation just enough that I can start to hear the experience of other people, it changes things. It changes my experience of that. That doesn't mean that I agree with someone else's opinion or point of view, but it changes how I experience hearing their opinion and how I receive them. The more I hold on to an opinion or a point of view, and the more it's fixed for me, the less receptive I am to accept somebody else in their life experience where they are in the moment and to hear what their point of view and their life experience is. When I can't do that, what I find in myself is that I start to experience more of a moral struggle inside. And when I experience more of a moral struggle inside, what I'm experiencing is this struggle inside to start to devalue other people based on their point of view or their opinion. And this is a very dangerous place to be. It's a dangerous place to be because, as history will tell us, the minute we start to devalue people for any reason, we start to take away this humanness. It's easier to see them in ways and treat them in ways that are demeaning and dangerous and sometimes lethal. So here is this area for us to work in um, and to aim ourselves upward. So there's two things that are in this sutta that I didn't realize that this was the first place they appeared. So you might have heard me talk in different talks here on Wednesday night about sila, ethics. So there's a part of ethics and so in usually when in Buddhism when we're talking about this, we talk about the precepts, right? Don't kill, don't steal, um, you know, don't tell lies, don't be unfaithful in relationships, and uh, don't do things that are intoxicating. This is a really short shrift. They're much more complicated than that and much richer than that. And if you've heard me talk, you know that there's much more depth in each one of those things, but that's the shortcut. Um, there's also, though, um, some refinement in there inside in your experience of the world. And I'd like to emphasize those. There's two concepts that appears in this sutta for the very first time. And those concepts are hiri and otapa. Some of you may have heard of those, okay? But we'll talk about them. So hiri, which is Hiri in the Pali, is this idea of having inside of you guardrails. And those guardrails inside of you, if you listen to them, will tell you when you're getting out of line. They'll tell you when you are starting to act in a way that violates your own values. So if you have these values, like the precepts suggest, then this idea of hiri inside is about self-respect, in a sense. It's telling you that you're getting off the trail. You're getting into an area where you're starting to violate your own values in something that you're doing or something that, and maybe the way you're holding on to an idea or an opinion, you're experiencing other people and yourself in a way that actually doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good inside. And that's this idea of hiri in your life. And one of the wonderful things about a mindfulness practice is that you are able to understand that you're having this struggle inside because your awareness allows you to experience your own set of feelings about a situation that you might otherwise miss because these can be subtle. They don't always materialize in anything other than a body sensation, right? How many of you have been in a situation where you were about to do something that wasn't a great idea and you just got tense? Your body got tense or you started to contract. That's your body responding to you and saying to you, whoa, you're about to do something that doesn't align with who you are, with your values. Because inside yourself, you know, and trust that. Mindfulness will help you be in touch with it. And so that's this idea of hiri. So otapa, which is O-T-A-P-A, otapa, is this idea of respect for others. So whereas hiri is about self-respect, otapa is when you actually start to see the impact on other people, that your actions or your opinion and sticking to your opinion might have. So that could be in a family setting where you hold on to an opinion in an argument or in a heated situation, and you start to see the effect on somebody else of how you're holding it. It could get rough, right? It could get hurtful, even if that is not your intention. Um, Another way to look at it is otapa relates to the idea of karma directly. So otapa is when you start to worry about the effect on your karma of what you're about to do or what you're saying. So whereas hiri will say, whoa, this doesn't feel right. Otapa is saying, you know what? There's a price for this if you do this. There's gonna be repercussions if you do this. So otapa then is this external part. So many things in the suttas and so many things in the Dharma have to do with reflecting on an internal part and an external part. It's one of the beauties of the Dharma is there's this continual consideration of the interplay between the two. So this is another part of that, is this idea of hiri and otapa. So the idea then for this is, how do we use hiri and otapa to polish up those scratches and dents, right? To, get the dents out of the bumpers, get the scratches out of the silver. How do we use hiri and otapa to do that? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite you to be able to be in smaller groups. And the idea is, how do you think this might be useful for you? These ideas of hiri, these bumpers inside, and this idea of otapa, this concern about the repercussions, and how these might guide you in working with opinions and views and things that tend to get fixed, concretized for us. Okay. So if you can get yourself together in groups of 3 or 4, and we'll help you online. And the idea is to just talk about this. How might you use this? How does this land with you? Okay. And we'll take about 10 minutes or so. All right. So now go ahead and get in the groups, and then I've got some guidelines for you. Okay. So if you want to arrange yourself, great discussions happening. It's great. Thank you so much. Okay. So I'd like to take a minute or two and see if there's anything that emerged from that that you'd like to share with the larger group. Any anything, discoveries, ways you could use it, questions? Anybody have any thoughts? Yes. Juan has the microphone for you, so everyone online can hear too. Yeah. Yeah. You got a nationwide hookup.
Um, so what just came up for me listening, to all 4 of us was this recognition that it's a flowing, moving, living process, that it's, how's this person doing? How am I doing? How are you doing? How am I doing? That it's a living discernment, because I think when I first was listening, I got into my academic head or whatever, school days head. I was like, oh, here's the rule. And now how do I apply it? And I was feeling like, and then once it was kind of came out of our talking together that it was a living thing. And then I'm like, oh, I can do that. That's okay. That feels right. It's like you said, it's in your body, it's in their body, it's in your body, it's in their body. And then
That
I will pass the ice cream cone.
great. Yeah, that's a really beautiful example and so beautifully stated of how internal and external mindfulness works. Because that ability, and we sometimes forget because we don't explicitly state this a lot, but when your mindfulness is really very stable for yourself, what happens is you pick up much more about other people. And when you do that, that's great information. And it allows the process you're talking about to happen. That alertness. There's natural processes in there. There's mirror neurons that work back and forth between people. And there's also just this idea that there's this perception that we have. And that's great because mindfulness isn't just on the cushion. That was never the intention. The Buddha was an activist. You know, it was never the intention of mindfulness to be just on the chair or in the cushion. It was meant to be relational. And so what you're doing is you're actualizing that relational aspect of it, which is fantastic. Thank you. Beautifully put. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
Question. Given the trajectory of history and recent history in this country, what helps you to remain convinced that our essence is kindness?
Uh, you know, uh, I don't think I can say it any better than Jack did on Sunday. I wasn't able to be here because I was still in Texas, but I listened to him, and the way he talked about just a mother putting breakfast down for her child, or or just caring for somebody, you know, or just the idea in Los Angeles of somebody letting you in traffic, you know, um, somebody unexpectedly walking down the street and you look up and somebody smiles. Um, I have the privilege of working in a hospital, and I see acts of kindness all day long. And so I hear everything, and I hear the divisiveness, and I hear the big split, and I hear all the different things that are happening. And at the same time, I'm also aware of what I see. You know, I see people bringing their elders in lovingly and caringly in for treatment, you know, having to move them from a car to a chair to get them in, or people who are severely injured, you know. I see this all the time, and it makes me even more aware of it. I see the reaction when, you know, or my own reaction when I go in and I'm in a hurry to get home and I'm in a line in a store and a cashier goes, "Hi." And it just disarms me. So whenever I get that feeling of we're never going to get through this and that people, you know, maybe my faith in people isn't justified, people prove me wrong and show me that I am justified in that faith. The thing is that we don't see most of those acts. You know, what we see is what's on TV. What we see is what's on Instagram, what's on, well, Facebook goes back and not on Facebook anymore. I mean, but we see all these things on there, and a lot of it is just the bad stuff. What we don't see, and I think, you know, is the literally billions of acts of kindness that occur every single day, everywhere. And so when I shift my perspective and I start to see that, it does change the way I feel about it. And it does reaffirm that I truly believe that beneath all of the stuff, the damage that people carry, that there really is kindness. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So I do want to go ahead and move to close. And I have a poem for you. So this poem was inspired by an extraordinary Dharma teacher named Joanna Macy, who you may have heard of. She, uh, I believe, if I'm accurate, she came up with the idea of echo Dharma. And she is an extraordinary person to be around. She's sort of amazing, kind of transformative. And one of her students actually wrote this about her idea. There's a book she wrote called The Great Turning. And this poem was inspired by that. And The Great Turning is actually part of the essence of what we're talking about right now. So I offer you this in closing. And the poem, by the way, which is called The Great Turning About, let me tell you ahead of time, was written by Christine Fry, Fry. So if you Google it. You've asked me to tell you of the Great Turning, of how we saved the world from disaster. The answer is both simple and complex. We turned. For hundreds of years, we had turned away as life on earth grew more precarious. We turned away from the homeless men on the streets, the stench from the river, the children orphaned in other countries, mothers dying in Africa. We turned away because that was what we had been taught. To turn away from our pain, from the hurt in another's eyes, from the drunken father, from the friend betrayed. We were told, in actions louder than words, to turn away, to turn away. And so we became a lonely people, caught up in a world moving too quickly, too mindlessly toward its own demise, until it seemed as if there was no safe place to turn, no place, inside or out, that did not remind us of fear or terror, despair and loss, anger and grief. Yet, on one of those days, someone did turn. Turn to face the pain. Turn to face the stranger. Turn to look at the smoldering world and the hatred seething in too many eyes. Turn to face himself, herself, themselves. And then another turned, and another, and another. And as they wept, they took each other's hands until whole groups of people were turning. Young and old, gay and straight, people of all colors, all nations, all religions, turning not only to the pain and the hurt, but to beauty, to gratitude, and to love, turning to one another for forgiveness and a longing for peace in their hearts. At first, the turning made people dizzy, even silly. There were people standing to the side, gawking, criticizing, trying to knock the turners down. But the people turning kept getting up, kept helping one another to their feet. Their laughter and kindness brought others into the turning circle until even the naysayers began to smile and sway. And as the people turned, they began to spin, reweaving the web of life, mending the shocking tears, knitting it back together with the colors of the earth, sewing on tiny mirrors so the beauty of each person, each creature, each plant, each life might be seen and respected. As the people turned, they spun like the earth through the universe, the web wrapped around them like a soft baby blanket, making it clear all were loved, nothing separate. As this love reached out every crack and crevice, into every crack and crevice, the people began to wake and to wonder, to breathe and to give thanks, to celebrate together. And so the world was saved, but only as long as you too, sweet one, remember to turn. Isn't it? Yeah. And it's such, if you're familiar with Joanna Macy's work, it's such a beautiful tribute to her as a teacher and a leader. So, yeah. So, I leave you with that. Thank you so very much. If you can help us by stacking chairs and cushions, and please have snacks and talk to each other. If you have some time, hang around, be in community, and what a pleasure. I am so honored to have the opportunity to lead you tonight. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, James. And just one additional announcement. For all of you here, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And if you didn't get a chance to register and make a donation and you'd like to, we are able to help you with that at the front in order to help us keep passing these teachings forward freely. And also just in spirit of this talk, on views, I want to emphasize everyone here is welcome, no matter their points of view, their politics, any sort of background, everyone is very welcome here. And I think that's really important to name. So we're really glad that we can all be here to practice. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so glad you were here.